Every industrial power follows the same path. First, they rise. Then they dominate. Then, they decay. Britain went first. Detroit followed. The Rust Belt was next. Now the whole US economy is walking the same road, and 2026 might be where that road ends. What's going on? In 1850, Britain was the beating heart of the modern world. The country made half of everything. Half the world's iron, half its coal, half its textiles. They built the railways that tied continents together, and the ships that ruled every ocean. If it moved, steamed, or spun, Britain built it. Other nations didn't compete, they copied. That's how far ahead Britain was. But success comes with a trap. By 1950, Britain was buying the same machinery it once exported. Its steel wasn't the cheapest, its ships weren't the fastest, and its mills were silent. The same nation that gave the world the Industrial Revolution now depended on imports from Germany, Japan, and America. Once the world's factory, it had become a financial hub that didn't make much of anything. That's the first lesson in this story. Industrial decline doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, through small shortcuts, cheap imports, and leaders who think they can replace factories with spreadsheets. Stage 1. Every empire has a peak. For Britain, it was the 1850s. For America, it was the 1950s. The US was unstoppable. It built 75% of the world's cars, half its airplanes, and most of its electronics. The phrase "made in America" meant strength, reliability, and pride. A factory job could buy a house, raise a family, send kids to college, and still save for retirement. You didn't need an Ivy League degree or a startup. You just needed steady hands and a solid work ethic. That's how Detroit became the richest city in America. That's how the Rust Belt earned its name. Not because it was dying, but because it shone with steel. But that kind of dominance makes people lazy. When you're on top for too long, you stop asking hard questions. Are our products still the best? Are our workers still learning? Are we adapting? For decades, the answer didn't matter because America's competitors were still catching up. Until they weren't. Stage 2. When the US hit peak manufacturing power, Japan was quietly studying its methods. They hired American consultants, bought American machines, and then rebuilt the process from scratch. Leaner, faster, cheaper. That's how Toyota, Honda, and Nissan crushed the American car giants. Today, the same story is unfolding. But this time, the imitator is China. When China studied America's tech and manufacturing systems, it industrialized efficiency itself. Where an American company takes 3 years to build a new chip plant, China builds one in 12 months. Where an American city debates permits, China has factories up and running before the debate ends. The uncomfortable truth is that the same thing that happened to Britain and Detroit, getting out-innovated by faster learners, is happening to the United States right now. The only difference is speed. The world used to take 100 years to catch up. Now it takes 10. When competitors rise, leaders have 2 choices: evolve or outsource. Guess which one America chose. Stage 3. In the 1980s, when the first signs of industrial decline appeared, American corporations didn't modernize. They moved. Factories left Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois, the heart of the Rust Belt, and crossed oceans chasing cheaper labor. NAFTA made it easier. China's WTO entry in 2001 sealed the deal. CEOs loved it. Profits went up, costs went down, and Wall Street celebrated. But every time a factory left, an entire ecosystem died. Not just workers, but suppliers, truckers, machinists, welders, everyone linked to that local supply chain. You can't replace that with service jobs. A steelworker making $70,000 a year doesn't become a barista earning $28,000. The math never balances. That's how entire towns, Youngstown, Flint, Gary, Buffalo, turned from industrial giants into economic ghosts. Fast forward to today, and the same logic continues. Companies brag about being global, but What they really mean is they're outsourced. The US imports $800 billion more than it exports every year. It's money leaving the country and never coming back. But losing jobs is just the surface. What happens when you lose capability? When a country literally can't make what it needs anymore? That's stage 4. Stage 4. This is where the real danger begins. A country doesn't die because it stops making money. It dies because it stops making things. Britain learned this in the mid-1900s when it couldn't produce steel or ships without importing raw materials. Detroit learned it when American automakers had to buy components from Japan to build American cars. And now the US is learning it on a terrifying scale. 80% of active ingredients in US medicines are made in China or India. The same goes for electronics. Every iPhone chip, battery, screen, and screw is built in Asia. Even our defense supply chains aren't immune. America imports more steel than it produces. Its Navy relies on parts made abroad. During the COVID pandemic, the cracks became visible. The world's richest nation couldn't make enough masks or ventilators. Hospitals begged for PPE from China. That's what deindustrialization really means. It's not nostalgia, it's weakness. When you can't make your own essentials, your medicine, your tech, your weapons, you're not independent anymore. You're just renting power from others. And while America's debating whether to bring manufacturing home, the rest of the world is already moving on. China's building shipyards, Korea's leading in batteries, Germany's mastering precision engineering. The US is busy exporting TikTok trends while importing everything that keeps its economy alive. But even that isn't the end of the pattern, because there's one more stage. The point of no return. Stage 5. This is where Britain landed after World War II. A service economy floating on its financial sector, unable to rebuild its manufacturing base. It's where Detroit landed after 2013. Bankrupt, empty, and dependent on nostalgia. It's where the Rust Belt landed in the 2000s, entire towns wiped out. And this is where America is heading now. Manufacturing once made up nearly a third of the US economy. Today it's just 11%. Employment in the sector fell from 19 million in 1980 to 13 million now, even though the population nearly doubled. The skills that built the country, welding, machining, metallurgy, are fading away. The workers who mastered them are retiring, and the next generation isn't learning because the factories are gone. Rebuilding isn't as simple as flipping a switch. The machines are scrapped. Suppliers are gone, the knowledge is scattered. You can't import industrial culture. It has to live inside a nation's people. Meanwhile, China's making 1 billion tons of steel a year. America makes 80 million. China builds 40% of the world's ships. The US builds less than 1. Taiwan makes 90% of the advanced chips that power America's military, cars, and computers. If China ever takes Taiwan, which it's planning to do by 2027, we'll have a national security collapse on our hands. And 2026 might be the year America realizes just how deep its dependency runs. Key defense and energy technologies are already at risk of foreign bottlenecks. The bottom line is that when a nation stops making, it starts fading. And right now, America has one last window before the lights dim for good. What do you think? Is it too late for American industry to turn back? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We've included sources for several of the facts mentioned. Find them in the description.